Well, hello there. Today we're going to talk about lesson 77. And unlike the previous two lessons, lesson 77 is just a little bit shorter. It's about percent of a number. This is a continuation of thinking about percent and finding missing elements of a percent type problem. Used it a lot in word problems. You'll see it used quite a bit there. And it's a good thing because you can get your problems set up right so you can solve them. It's known that a percent of a larger number, and make sure you put this in your notes, a percent of a larger number will always equal a smaller number. Okay, of means multiply. Percent of a larger number, bigger one, it's the total amount, equals the smaller, or is the smaller number. Okay, let's look at some examples. What percent of 60 is 25? What percent of $6.20 is $1.80? 70% of what number is 12? 28 is what percent of 160? 95 is 125% of what number? Now you have to remember that every time you see of in this situation, you'd be replacing it with a multiplication symbol. Whenever you see is, you're going to be replacing it with an equal sign. Okay, and so that should help you somewhat be able to set up these problems. Always remember that when you're dealing with percents, you have to change those to decimals. Okay, anytime that they say what number and you don't know, that is probably going to be your variable. Okay, what percent, what number, what percent, that's your variable. That's what you don't know. So remember, turn percents into decimals, put multiplication in for of, equal in for is, and wherever you see a what number or what percent, that is your missing term. That's your variable. Okay, so we're going to do just a couple of example problems here. All right, so start out with what percent of 60 is 25? And I wrote that kind of small, so I'm going to pull it up just a tad so we can see it just a little better. What percent of 60 is 25? So what percent, don't know, that's your variable, of, multiply, 60 is equals 25. Rewritten, percent times 60 equals 25. I put x in for our what number, or our percent, times 60 equals 25. Now, you know that we can get rid of the 60 by dividing, because we've been doing these one-step equations now for a while. Okay, so we are going to divide both sides by 60, and when we do that, we take 5 into 25, and we get 5. 5 into 60, and we get 12. 5 twelfths is the fraction, but then you have to take 5 divided by 12, and you will find the percent. It ends up to be, you actually get 0.416 repeating is what you get, which is 41 2/3, or 41.6 repeating, however you want to write that. If it's for a percent, you have to turn it into a percent, which is 41.6. Okay, what percent of $6.20 is 180? What percent? You don't know that. Of means multiplication. 620 is your bigger number, equals 180. Percent times 620 equals 180. X times 620 equals 180. Now, what are you going to do to solve this? Yep, you're going to divide both sides by 620. And when you do that, you have to watch the decimals. Okay? You get 0.290322. In this case, you're going to have to round it. And since there's a 0 here, you're just going to round to 29%. Okay? 70% of what number is 12? Well, 70% of, multiply, what number we don't know, is equals 12. So we change this into a decimal, 0.70, times what number, which is your x, equals 12. 0.70x equals 12. Divide both sides by 0.70. You get x to be 17.14, and it continued, so I just rounded it to the hundredths place. So it's approximately 17.14. On the back side of this piece of paper, I have two more. 28 is what percent of 160? 28 equals some percent times 160, because this is the is, and this is the of. Okay, 28 equals x times 160. Divide both sides by 160. That goes away. And when you divide it out, you get 0.175, which as a percent is 17.5. Last example, okay? 95 is 125% of what number? Is of. Change that 125% to 1.25. Remember, that's how we do that. So you end up with 95 equals 125% of times x. 95 equals 1.25. Remember, we change that into a decimal, times x. 95 equals 1.25x. Divide both sides by 1.25. And when you do that, you get 76 equals x. That would be all I have to talk about today. I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions, be sure to ask me in class. Thanks.